Got a little bit of a different one for you this week. As you can see, I'm here on my own. Judy is back in the UK and I'm here doing boat jobs because that's what happens in the Mediterranean in winter. Everyone just works their way through that boat list, and as we do these videos in real time, it's an opportunity for us to show you a bit of real life. It's all part of sailing, but if you like usually the travelogue sections, then maybe skip this one. But there's a lot in this episode, not just work on this boat, but also I go to somebody else's boat and talk to a whole bunch of cruisers here in Montenegro about their experiences as well. So yeah, I think you'll get a lot of insight from that, hopefully. First of all though, I have got a broken Webasto, the heater on this boat. I'm warming my feet here with an electric heater, so let's take a look at that. Okay, so the saga of the broken Webasto continues. If you've watched the other episodes, you'll see I've done the obvious things. It stopped working, so I changed the atomizer nozzle and the electrodes. I had those in spares. They're the things that sort of need replacing most often. But you can hear it's not going sort of tick, tick, tick with the ignition. Dave at Butler Technic's been helping me out with lots of advice. This is sort of a hybrid version, this one. It's not like the modern ones where it comes up with error code, so it's a little bit more difficult. So we tested the fuel pump. Now what I'm doing is I've taken all the cables out of here, the control box, and Dave's told me to just link the negative here from plug A pin 2 to D pin 5, that's the brown cables, and then I've got to adjust with this one, which is in the live feed from the boat here, power up the yellow cable here, that's D8, and I should hear the tick tick tick. Let's see. And I did. So I've got the phone there to look in for me because I can't really get my head round to see it, but I'll record it as well so we can actually show it to you. See if we get a spark. Yeah, it's definitely there. You can see it, you can hear it, but it's like a good spark. Nothing wrong with that. I've got to power two things up at once. So this one's for the motor, and this one here is for the fuel pump. I'll have a look again with this to see if we can see if there's any spray coming out of the nozzle. I think this is going to be difficult to see, to be honest, but I'll have a look. I can't really see any mist there, but there is a drip of fuel coming out at the bottom of that, so I imagine that's all working as well. It's all very strange. Why isn't it actually firing then? Maybe I'll put it back together and actually give it a go to see if it will actually fire up now, because I'm actually getting the tick 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 when I put that on. Maybe it's a control unit, I don't know. Okay, so I've got it back together. Let's see if it starts. See, I don't hear the ticking properly. That should be where the ticking happens, and I'm not hearing it. Nope. Back to the drawing board. In the meantime, I can't resist the opportunity while the sun's shining to hoist up our new Yankee for a quick look. How brilliant is this? The new sail is here. Just putting it up, shake the wrinkles out of it, make sure it fits, which it does perfectly. Look at this, if I put it in, so we're completely close hauled. It's slightly bigger than the last one, and you can see beautifully shaped, so it just comes in really close to the spreaders there. Going to get the maximum out of that. Really nicely made, triple stitched, got our logo on, which is nice. But yeah, absolutely beautiful, really quality stuff. This is the Elite range, which is the strongest one. Should last many years if we treat it right. We are very impressed with the build of this sail, and there will be a whole in-depth look at what goes on into designing a new sail, from first consultation through measuring your unique design requirements, all boats are different, and delivery and fitment, so look out for that one. Meantime, we've got a full re-rig scheduled for next week, so the sails have to come down and I need to clear the decks for their annual coat of Semco. I've shown this in a tech video before, so I'll put a link at the top. but it's quite easy to put on with a rag if a little hard on the knees. Fortunately, it seems grandson Isaac is already in training after Judy showed him a clip I put on Instagram.
I'm the top of the boat.
This is his impression of me. So it looks a bit patchy when you first do it, but after a day or two you can see there's the decks and the bulwarks, they even out quite nicely. Got it done just in time because you can see behind me big clouds coming, got a bit of rain coming, so I'm not going to be able to get any of the varnishing started. I've got a little bit more prep to do on that anyway, so I'll get that done. But while we've still got a little bit of dry weather, I'm going to try and repair this. This is the bit of damage that we had in Greece, if you saw that last time with the motorboat coming in much too fast and bashing us against the dock side. So I've got a bit of wood that I'm going to scarf into there. So I've got to take this wood back to a flat surface so I can just get this on. I'll just do it between the two bolts here, so the edge of the boat will hold that on, and obviously I'll glue it through there as well. So yeah, I think if I can get that right, it'll make quite a good job of that. I wanted to look at this as well because I keep forgetting other bits that we did last year when we did our little review in the previous episode. This is the G-Technic stuff that we put on the top sides, and a lot of people have asked for an update on that one as well. As you can see, yeah, it's it's doing a really good job actually. I mean, it just needs a clean down here, but it's it's not perfect, but then it was quite a difficult surface in the first place. I mean, that nanotechnology stuff is there to sort of protect a good surface, not to renovate an old one. So I'm not really using it for what it's supposed to be used for, but it's done a good job, because this would have been really chalky by now. It was taken about 3 months after you polish it to come up chalky again. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. I mean, I'll probably give it an 8 out of 10, not a 9 out of 10, just because it's really expensive and you expect a lot of it. But yeah, and we're lucky actually here in Porto Montenegro that we've got lots of space both sides. I can get round, so I can do all this work while we're in the berth. So that work makes a big difference. In some marinas you're really packed in, you just can't get this stuff done, so I'm making the most of it. Slightly hampered by not being able to find my whetstone to sharpen my less than perfect chisels. But working with wood is such a pleasure compared to other materials. There we go. It's not perfect, but you'd have to be very close to actually see it when it's all finished. Obviously it's nice and strong, glued, screwed and bolted, and it's going to have to have a bit of stainless steel rub rail when I can find one the right size, which will cover up all this as it goes through. So yeah, another job ticked off the list. The Webasto problem is still ongoing though. Latest advice from David is to rule out the flame detector. Its voltage should drop from 5 volts to less than 1 volt during startup if it sees a flame. But on inspection, it isn't. It can work though, as is apparent if you shine a torch at it. So the flame detector is good. That only leaves the CPU. Silly me, I should have known. Of course it's going to be the CPU, the most expensive part. It's the last sunny day before a week of rain, so I better take a look at the butterfly hatch. So to take it apart, first there's some brass screws that are going to need to be drilled out. It's always had an annoying small drip which seems to come through the frame. Going by the way the screws' heads have been sanded flat, this has probably never been taken apart before. Well, digging out the old Sikaflex, it seems like in fairly good nick, but you can see little bits on here, sort of dirt marks that come down. So that's probably some water coming through. It's managed to get through the thick bead that was at the bottom here as well. It's only ever a tiny little, very annoying drip, but hopefully we won't have that anymore once I've got some new stuff in. So it's always quite difficult to get the Sikaflex out of these places, but I have got a secret weapon, a little Fein tool that I use for the decks to get the Sikaflex out from between decks. So
I'll go with that.
So I'm going to finish this and then going to visit Todd on his HH, where he's giving a little demo into splicing Dyneema.
There's several ways you can do this.
And I actually had an ulterior motive for coming, which was to ask the guys here about their views on boat ownership. So I wanted to get a sense from different people here about what they feel about what it's like to maintain a boat, what sort of specific things you've had, how much time, how much money, how much effort it takes, how much knowledge you need. Well, let's have a little start then on the concept that a lot of people say that you buy a boat and you should have maybe 10% of the value of the boat per year for maintenance, which I always thought is pretty weird, because Todd would be in trouble if he had to pay.
Pretty accurate.
10%. You think you buy a new boat, there's going to be nothing to do. That's not true either, is it? If someone says, well, look, get a new boat because you're not going to have any maintenance, what's the reality of that?
Well, it's probably not the same sort of maintenance that an older boat has, but you've still got all the cleaning. There's in any new boat, there is always something that happens, and you've got to get, I think Chris was saying, you've got to get through all those little niggles that you get. I've had a few warranty issues which is normal, but you've got to get all that fixed, and then that's not easy necessarily in different ports, and you've got to find the right place, and they haven't got this and they haven't got that, and then you've got to get it sent, and there's all that issue.
And of course you've had the extra problem there that they've had to come and do some extra work as part of the warranty for strengthening, haven't they?
Yeah, they've done some extra strengthening warranty work, and that was really good. In all fairness, they were excellent with that, and left the boat spotless. We're really happy that that's all done.
We've got a Lagoon 450, so the bulkhead was another one, because the bulkhead then that you've just had that recommended fix we haven't had done, so we've got curves and woodwork moving and everything like that. It's all solidified, but we noticed when the washing machine dropped.
Oh God.
Ours was a near new FP Elba. We had the survey done in France, expecting that, being a French boat and a French surveyor and a lot of those sort of boats in that vicinity, you'd think that you'd get a good survey. Our survey was absolutely hopeless, to the extent that we had problems with our sail drives. We had problems with the deck issue, which is a bulkhead issue, which is a problem. Our rudders filling up with water, and we're going to have those replaced. So a number of those issues, which are fairly major issues, were not picked up by the survey. And there are lots of little bits and pieces. Our boat was not used much as a sailing boat, so a number of those sailing related things weren't maintained properly, etc. So even though it was only a 14-month-old boat, we've had to do a lot of upgrades and a lot of, and of course they didn't have the boat principally as a ocean going or blue water type boat. So we've done other upgrades to suit that, but effectively, there's a lot of things that weren't picked up in the survey and a lot of other things we've had to add. So this first winter is a huge expense for us, but hopefully the succeeding ones, when all these are done, new rudders, etc., will be a whole lot easier.
We're hearing a lot of catamaran stories here, and obviously there's lots more to a catamaran, isn't it? There's probably not more to go wrong, but it seems like there's more stresses involved, more susceptibility to problems maybe. What's your feeling?
I think the biggest difference, they're quite similar, like engine issues. Maybe you have two engines, not one, so you may have twice the problem.
Yeah, but it's good and bad. You've got redundancy.
But we got redundancy, and we can also test something, or if something's working on one side, you can always try it on the other side to see if that helps. So there's pros and cons there. The mast and things like that, the rigging, it's all the same. It's probably under more load on a catamaran, but it's usually heavier built. You still have the same issue. If it's a 10-year-old boat, you still have to re-rig it, after 10 years. Normally you put on new standing rigging, so that'll be the same. So I found that to be pretty similar that way, but I will echo the survey point, is we had, I think this is the 5th boat we've had surveyed out of about 20 that we've owned, and he found about half the stuff, and we found about the other half. And now we're finding another half that neither of us found.
That's a lot of holes.
So there's always those things you find too, is because the boat sat for quite a while, and little things like the head. We had to replace the seals in the head because they just dried out. They hadn't been used in a year and a half or so. So relatively simple, relatively inexpensive, but just another thing you got to do.
Yeah,
So.
but relative cost of ownership, then you don't think it's sort of much difference from a monohull to a cat necessarily?
I found that the same. I think the big difference is whether you want to go blue water or not.
How much of this do we think is about boat choice, about what sort of boat you're going to get, how much money you're spending, what you're going to go for? Let's talk some with a proper boat.
What boat have you got?
We've got an old Halbo 49, and we're really glad that we did get an old boat because it's really low tech. Everything is low tech, but it's fixable. And we have fixed a lot, and a lot has needed fixing. Some of it by professionals, so some anti-osmosis treatments type stuff. But most of the other stuff, we feel that, if we read or watch enough stuff, we will be able to do it. I mean, Suzanne did a great job. She completely dismantled the 2 primary winches a couple of weeks ago, and, they're great pieces of engineering, and they feel lovely now. She's varnishing now, and she's really keen to learn. Like Lynn, you said, you're really keen to learn, and of course one partner does have a bit more knowledge than the other, and some of us are better at letting go than others, and I think it's really important to let go, and if it's not going to be done quite right, as long as nobody's going to get hurt, who cares? They will learn something, a lot from it. So I'm.
But you've bought, obviously quite an old boat.
Yeah.
It's not a new boat,
No.
but it's just a very well-made boat.
Yeah.
How important is that, do you think, then? From practical experience of being on that boat and the things going wrong, because they go wrong with all boats, old or new, how's it been?
So far it's been fine. We're new to the boat. We've only been on the boat for 5 months, and we haven't encountered any really bad weather. We've got old sails. We know that there's there's a possibility that we could damage the sails either because we can't get them down in time or whatever. And that's just a risk that we have to take. When we've prioritised all the things that we would like to do into kind of safety, comfort and convenience, and so things like the life raft and the man overboard and things like that, and we've just bought AIS and all that sort of stuff. But there's so much other stuff that other boats, you probably all have a nice warm air system. We don't have a functioning heating system, we just have an oil filled radiator. But with a new dehumidifier, we found our boat to be pretty comfortable. It's okay.
Because it's well made in the first place, because it's well insulated.
Yeah, all the hatches are original, and not many of them are completely leak free. So, but the odd little drip lets if you're living on a boat, it's not going to be like a 5-star apartment, and that is the absolute choice you make when you decide to move on board. And it's been pretty much as we expected, and we love the boat to bits. We are very glad. But the whole kind of 10% per year. It's a terrifying prospect, when you're trying to do it on a budget, which a lot of us are. So yeah.
Finally then, just to talk about that issue of, do you do something yourself or do you get somebody else in to do it? Firstly, how important is it that you can do as much as possible, if not everything, on your boat? And for the things that you can't do, what are the problems of getting good, reliable mechanics or riggers or whatever in to do what you need to do? Any sort of stories about that? What's the feelings about that?
I think that the main thing is that you do need to have an attitude that and a willingness to learn about the systems. And I found as things go wrong, like one of my alternators is not working, so I've learned about the whole alternator regulator and wiring and controller, and I understand it now, and we're getting it worked on. But you need to know it yourself. Number one, if you want to do it yourself. Number two, if you have somebody on board to do it, to make sure they do it right.
I suppose the only problem with that, Todd, at the beginning is for those of us who've got boats which are still within warranty, is actually being able to do that sort of thing. And while you're still in warranty, people like Volvo, for instance, will void your warranty just because you do your own oils or
Really?
impellers.
Okay.
So once you're out of warranty, of course, now you can do anything you like.
We were in Paxos and our water pump went down. And we don't have a manual way of getting the water out. So that was, it wasn't a big deal. We just got bottled water and basically showered with bottled water. But and then we got to Corfu a week later and paid nearly €300 for a pump that I've now recently bought for 100.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to buy two, and you still get €100
Yeah.
discount.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know,
How's it been for you? Because this is a fairly new venture for you, isn't it? The boating side of it. How's it panned out? And have you found it sort of stressful? The thing about you being the captain, the person that's there, supposed to look after this boat. You got to know about all that sort of stuff.
it's very. I found it daunting because I come from a practical background. I had a landscaping business, a building business. The boat's like a totally different world. It was really daunting, and I'm still daunted, But I mean, we've probably spent £12,000, well in excess of the 10% value of the boat, just in 6 months. Just because, and the boat was in really, really good condition. So it's just like little upgrades, like making the boat comfortable for the people on it. Like we were getting serious moisture problems under the beds, so we had to put some kind of system under that. Dehumidifiers, like how do you heat the boats? These things that you don't think about when you move onto the boat. Those things are what's cost us. Our windlass broke, upgrading the chain. Because our windlass kept letting us down and it was quite dangerous. So it's you just don't anticipate those kinds of problems. So we probably spent well in excess of 10% just in 6 months. I definitely am a little scared going offshore, worrying that I can't fix something.
Yeah. So do you think that weighs on you because you're the one responsible?
Well, I just
if
think
something
right
goes
now
wrong?
we're 60 miles from nowhere, and if something goes, can I fix it?
Yeah.
I don't have that much confidence that I could. So it's building up. I think one of the biggest tools on the boat is the skipper and their competence. Your boat's only as safe as the skipper's sort of skill set, isn't it?
It's the pink and the blue jobs, right?
Yeah.
And we've been on the boat 2 years, and I know my wife's not here right now, but Catherine would tell you that we didn't think we would break them down pink and blue, but that's the way it's gone. It just naturally evolves that way. Although I would say, and I've been arguing this point for a while to no avail, that cleaning is a pink job, right? So cleaning the hull should be a pink job, right? Are we all in agreement on that, just for the record? Okay.
I think we'll leave it there while Todd digs his hole a little deeper. And Todd's memorial service will be next Tuesday. Now, actually, Catherine is a very good sport about these sorts of things, as is the whole group here. It's a very good group of cruisers here at Porto Montenegro, and that's a very good thing when you're working on your boat, because quite often it's a tool that you don't have, or you just need a spare set of hands, and we have a WhatsApp group here, and we'll just put out a message, and usually within 5 minutes there's someone there to help you. So we're on our final push now of the last of the jobs. We've got Jade coming out next week, or actually later this week, to start the re-rig. So we have a special report on that, a really in-depth one, as well as the one about the sails that we talked about. We're very happy with the sail that we've got through from Precision. So we're definitely going to go ahead and get the staysail and the mainsail measured up as well, and hopefully we can get them ordered and maybe delivered to somewhere like Gibraltar or Canaries on our way through, because it'd be lovely to have a new suit of sails for the Atlantic crossing that we plan to do at the end of next season. So don't miss out this season. It's going to be great. We've got a lot of sailing to do. And now I've got to do Judy's bit. Thank you to our subscribers, thank you to our patrons, and thank you for watching. Is that how she says it? Oh, it's so difficult when Judy's not here.